Hi everyone, today we are sewing the sleeveless cardigan. It's a great layering piece, especially with all these statement sleeves at the moment. It's a bit hard to put a cardigan with sleeves over the top, so this is a nice alternative to it. So this is quite a drapey sleeveless vest. It has godet inserts in the side seams just to create a little bit of drama. To get started, this is a knit garment, so you're going to need to buy fabric with stretch. It doesn't really need to have a huge amount of stretch, but certainly more than 30% would be advisable. So because it's a knit garment, we're going to be sewing this with our overlocker. So we're going to be sewing this with an overlocker, and I'm going to use a plain sewing machine as well. So when you're ready, set your overlocker up with 4 threads of colour that match your fabric and set the stitch width to 6mm, which is 1/4 inch. The other thing is you're going to need access to either a cover stitcher, a cover seamer machine to do the hems, or you could use a twin needle on a plain sewing machine. I'm going to assume you only have access to a plain stitch on a sewing machine, so I'll show you how to sew this just with a plain line of sewing and the overlocker. Now the only thing about sewing with a plain sewing machine is you'll need to make sure there's a ball needle in that machine. That will make sure that the fabric won't start to ladder or run when the needle goes through it and if it's under any pressure. The other thing we need to be aware of is just make sure that you test stitch on spare fabric before you start, just to make sure that all your tensions are right. And if you need help with tensioning, there's free YouTube videos on how to adjust the thread tension and the bobbin tension on my YouTube channel. So when you're ready, let's get started. You're going to start on the front pieces. So the first seam we're going to sew is the collar centre back neck seam. So if you take your front piece, which looks like this, and place it right sides together, the first seam we're going to be sewing is the one across here. So if you place that right sides together, come to your overlocker, and try not to stretch this out too much as you go. I'm sewing with a merino fabric today, which is a lovely fabric called a new yarn. It's a merino nylon blend, but instead of the nylon blend blended into the fibre, the merino is wrapped around the centre core, and it's just a lovely fabric to work with, and it's lovely and warm in winter. Right, so that's our centre back neckline done, or our collar neckline. Now the next seam we're going to sew is this one through here. So take your back piece and we'll match the back to this here. So here is the top of my back piece, and there's 2 notches here, and that shows us the centre back neck position, and that middle of those 2 notches need to match to that seam we've just sewn. So making sure we have right sides together. So we want to sew it together like that. So the next piece we're going to work with is the godets. So if you place what you've just sewn right side up, so this is the back right side up, and then go and get your godet pieces. So So here is one of my godet pieces, and we cut a pair, which means we cut one this way and we cut one this way. And it's really important because we need to sew this into our garment. I'm holding this up, and as you can see, we have 2 notches on one seam here, so I'm holding it by the point. So the 2 notches show us the back, and on the other side the single notch shows us the front. And just like if we were sewing in a sleeve, it's really important that we sew the double notches to the double notches on the back of our garment, making sure right sides together. So what this means is take your godet piece, turn it so that it is right side to the back, and then find the double notch. And when you've found the double notch, hold that in place with a pin. Now if we look at the back of the garment, you'll see a notch just down from the underarm position, the armhole position here. So that notch there needs to match to 6 mil, 1/4 of an inch, in from the end of that godet. So that's what we're going to be doing, because we want to sew only from that position there. And by that position there, I mean that I don't really want you to sew from the edge. I want you to try and overlock if possible, just from that notch position. So we want to go from there. If you do it, it's not a huge deal. And we're going to sew that seam all the way through to the bottom, and the bottom edge should match perfectly. So what I'm going to do is just take this straight into my machine like this, making sure this godet is 6 mil, 1/4 inch past that, and I'm going to try and start my overlocking exactly on that notch position. Okay, so now you've done that on that side, go ahead and repeat it for the other side with the other godet. Now we're going to sew the other side of the godet to the front. So open the godet up like this and find the side that has the single notch in it. So we're looking for that there. Then making sure we are right sides together, match the side seam at the front to this. So what this means is if you put the armhole together like this, right sides together, and put the underarm seam there, and then you will see the notch there that matches that notch at the top of the godet, and then come down that side seam and match the notches there. So generally for godets, it's easier to sew them in from the hemline up rather than from up down, but it is entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do now is come to my hem position here, and as you can tell there's a small angle on it, and that's so we get the hem in the correct position. Make sure you keep that angle when you're overlocking. And the notch there shows us where the turn is for the hem. Okay, so now we're approaching the top of the godet there, and you'll see now why we needed to start overlocking just down from the edge. As I said, if you've overlocked all the way to the edge, that's fine, not a problem. What we want to do is overlock so that the notch sits on top of the other godet seam, and then we just, once we're past it, we just need to pull that fabric back again so we match up to the armhole. So the main thing we're looking for is to make sure that all of our stitches are enclosed, and as you can see there, I've slightly missed, so I'll just go over that again, just slightly in from the edge. If you wanted to, you could go over that just with a plain stitch on your sewing machine if you preferred to not have the bulk. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here at the top of the godet. So once you've done that on that side, just go ahead and repeat that for the other side, and then go to your iron and give your garment a light press. So after you've given this a press, you'll see that we're nearly finished. All that's left now is to do the bands and then hem the garment. So for the bands, we have a pair. So we've cut one like this and one like this, so they're a mirror. The reason for that is because the front armhole is bigger than the back armhole because of the slight halter effect of this garment. So take your band and place it right sides together, and we're going to sew the underarm seam, and that's the short one. So while this is folded in half, you can see that the notch is closer towards this side. So this side, the shorter area, is the back. So what I'm going to do is just put a pin in the side that's shorter so that I know that this is the back before I go any further. So what we're going to do now is fold this so wrong sides are together, right sides are out, and then we're going to match this into the armhole. So I know this side is the back, so that's the side I'm going to start working on first. So what I need to do is match the seam to the underarm, the notch to the shoulder, making sure the side that's shorter is at the back. So what I've done for the band is I've just run a small line of tacking stitches just to hold it together while I attach it with my overlocker to the garment. So let's find that notch position again. If we fold it in half, the back is the smaller side, so I'll just put a pin on the side that I know is the back, and now I'm going to match it right sides together to my garment. So the seam of the band goes at the underarm point, the seam faces the back, and then that notch matches the shoulder. And those are our ease points. So that means our stretch needs to be made evenly between those two positions. So I've taken the attachment here off, just because I find it really easy when we're sewing circles. And I'm going to start just to one side of that underarm seam and just sew a few stitches, making sure these raw edges are all even. Just because that gives me another anchor point like a pair of hands. Alright. So now it's just a matter of evenly stretching this out between that position there and the shoulder. And we'll just gently overlock that into place. And go ahead and repeat that on the other side. So the last part of our garment is the hems. If you have a cover stitcher, this is going to be an absolute breeze. The hem allowance is 1.5 centimeters, which is 9/16 of an inch. And you can see the hem allowance is marked at the hem by a small notch. So if you don't have access to a cover stitcher, what you can do is overlock the edges, and then I'm going to run 2 lines of top stitching to hold the hem in place so it looks like a cover stitcher. So all that remains now is to run around the entire outside edge of the garment with your overlocker, and I'm going to start at the hemline. Now, because my fabric is very light, I'm going to go and press my hems before I begin. So as I said before, the hem allowance is 1.5, which is 9/16 of an inch. So there we are, all finished. Go ahead and do some quality control work, which means snipping any stray threads, and give this a really good press. I hope you enjoy your garment. It's a very fast sew, and it's a very elegant sew with the asymmetric drape because of that godet insert. So thanks for joining me with this sew along video, and I hope to see you for my next sew along video soon.